his head. Satan down there, that don't exist, man. That's just a fear vision. That's just a vision that was created so that you can fear, so that you can stay in church, go to church. Go on, bro.
Please help me.
Go on, bro.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven.
Right, Capernaum was an exalted place. The city was a city of prosperity at one time. Go on.
Shall be brought down to hell.
Right, should be brought down to hell. What does that mean? Meaning that city was brought down to derision. Okay, it was brought down to destruction, and it became a no city. So it's a condition. To be in a heavenly state is to live in a more of a higher estate. To be in hell is to live in a lower state, which the word hell means that below. What is it? Below the earth or the grave. So if you're living a low life, which you could say that because you could either be your broke or you're not living a life of those that are on high, then you're in hell. It's a condition. Sicknesses. All kind of health problems. That's hell. Go on, bro.
I go back to Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 16. And moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there.
Right, that wickedness was there. Is that hell? No, it's a place on the earth. Okay, it's an actual thing things that are taking place on the earth, which is bringing about the bad times, the evils. Okay, in other words, wickedness was there. Okay, so wickedness is not happening under the earth; it's happening on the earth. Go on.
More here. And the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
Right, in the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. What is iniquity? A multitude of sins. So sin is taking place not in hell but on earth. Which the words, when you go into the meaning of sin, it means the transgression of the law. So under the sun, you have people breaking the law, which brings about wickedness on the earth. Okay, that's what that's all about, man. Now, when you die, does the body go to hell in the sense of the grave? Yeah. But the spirit goes upward to the Father. So how can the spirit burn on the ground when, for one, there's no fire on the ground? If I dig into the earth right now, I'm not going to see no flames below the earth, man. All I'm going to see is dirt, and that's it. Or some rocks there and there. But I'm not going to see no fire, man. So what is that talking about? That's what you call Greek mythology. Go on, bro.
Verse 17. I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked.
Right, it says that the Most High shall judge the righteous and the wicked under the earth. Go on.
For there is a time there for every purpose.
Yep.
And for every work.
Right, on the earth. So when if you've lived a life where you've committed sin and you've done things that was waywardly wicked, you're gonna come back on earth born with no arms and shit.
Yeah.
Or born with no legs. Yep. Or born blind. Because you did something wrong in your past life. Alright, that's why people keep coming back to play out their life or to live in judgment. Okay? That's the hell. So if you're born in a situation where you can't even walk, and you've seen everybody else walking, or you've seen everybody else take care of themselves, and you can't take care of yourself because you're paraplegic, that's hell again. Okay? So there's many conditions of hell. But it ain't talking about a place where you burn it, man. That doesn't exist. That's, again, Greek mythology. A vision, that's a vision created to put fear in you. So you can go to church, to their institutions, and in that way, they can brainwash you.
Right.
Like the fear of going into uni. Your parents putting that fear in you to go to university. All right, so you can fulfill what your parents want you to do. And if you don't go as well, you will feel like a dumbass. You will feel like, oh man, I'm not worth anything because I don't have no degrees or anything like that. So it's all based on fear. for you to be obedient unto what they want you to be obedient to. But really, we should be obedient unto the Heavenly Father. Okay? Go on, bro.
So precept, yeah?
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 21.
Yeah.
Who knoweth the spirit of man
Right.
that goeth upwards?
Right, that's it. Who know the spirit of man that go up? And this has happened to me, several times. I've experienced this myself, where you could be sleeping, and all of a sudden your spirit goes up. Okay, but there's what happens is the spirit can be brought back to the body. All right, and then you wake back up again. But I've actually experienced what they call astral projection. I've experienced it. So if that's the case, then once the spirit comes out of the body, that means you were probably dead for a minute, and then you came back. Okay, and that's very true. Because if you haven't experienced this, then you can only but go by the scripture. But if you haven't experienced it, you can only but go with the scriptures are saying. But if you have experienced it, it's true. It's very true. Okay, go on.
And the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth.
And the reason why the spirit goes upward is so that the spirit can go before the Father, and you can receive your judgment. Okay, get that in the book of I think it's in
Revelations. Revelations.
Now it speaks about how we go before the judgment seat of the Most High.
Sorry, read this one quick.
Yeah, read that real quick and then give me that.
Ecclesiastes 3 and 20. All go unto one place.
Right, all go into one place. So even the wicked goes in the same place. Tells you that Job, the 3rd chapter as well. Okay, how the wicked go to the Most High or the spiritual realm and they're at peace. So that whole concept of hell, all right, where fires on the floor, and even the Muslims, they believe that there's 7 levels of hell or something like that. That's all Greek mythology, Roman Catholic doctrine. Again, that's to put fear on those people to believe in that religion. Because if they don't believe in that religion, they fear that so-called consequence, which is it's false. I call it a dogma, and that's why they stay in that religion. And you even got Muslims out there, they don't really believe in that philosophy or that religion, but they'll stay in it because of that fear that they could go to hell. Right. There's no such thing. Go on, bro.
And all turn to dust again.
Right, and all turn to dust again. So you're reincarnated back on the earth. All right, you come in the body. What's that, bro? Yeah, it speaks about how we all go before the seat of judgment. You got a precept, right?
No, I'm just trying to find one. There's one where it talks about the spirit going back to the early. When you die, the spirit goes to the Father.
Yeah, it's
Ecclesiastes 12 verse 7.
Yeah, 12 and 7.
Ecclesiastes 12 verse 7.
It's like, if there was a hell, we would all be burning in it.
Right.
All the 12 tribes of Israel. Huh?
But you really can't burn the spirit because the spirit is energy. It's fire. So how can fire burn the spirit? It doesn't make sense. Once the spirit leaves the body, then the body has no animation to it. The reason why your body is animate because of the spirit in it. So it's just a bunch of bogus they're talking about. Huh? Yeah.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 7, it says, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was,
Right.
and the spirit shall return to the Heavenly Father who gave it.
Right, exactly. So the same spirit, whether it be a bad spirit or a good spirit, it returns back to the Father. It just goes to that same place. So even the spirit of Esau goes to the spiritual realm and they're at peace. And they come back down here and they play under judgment. Like what's going to happen, a lot of these Edomites, these so-called Europeans, when they die after the nuclear destruction, they're going to be in the spiritual realm, and they're going to come back as newborn babies born into slavery. It's not every Edomite is going to die. You're going to have a lot of Edomites that's going to be alive, so they can birth in other Edomites and even the nations too. The other nations, they're coming back, so they can fulfill exactly what's written in the scriptures, their judgment. Okay. Just like how we came into the world, the scripture says, "Cursed should I be when I come to stand, and cursed should I be when I go out." That's what we're facing right now as the Israelites. Why is that? Because we didn't do nothing wrong. So how can we come in this earth in that situation? Why? Because of what our forefathers have done, and who our forefathers coming back in the reincarnation to play out that judgment. Okay. So it seems like right now Esau's getting no scot-free, but really, when you look at it from a higher perspective, is he really getting them scot-free? Doesn't look like it if you look at the bigger picture. Okay. Yeah, go on.
Say what he said. Ecclesiastes 3:20 says, "All go unto one place. All are of the dust, and all turn to dust again."
Right, all turn to the dust again. Meaning you return back to the earth. Once you die, your body disintegrates back to the dust. That's exactly where you go, and the spirit goes up. Okay, so there's no place hell. You're gonna burn in hell. There's no Bible verse that speaks about that. Now, that's not to say that the word hell is not in the scriptures, because it is in there. But when you go into the Hebrew word, which the Bible originally is written in Hebrew, the words you're going to get is Sheol, which means the grave or under the ground. So let's say, for example, your grandmother died, and you put her 6 feet in the grave. The bodies, that's what you call hell, which the word hell means under the ground.
Turn back into dust.
Right. You found it, right?
Yeah.
So like a condition. And it means condition.
Right, like I went into earlier. Condition. Going, bro.
2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat.
Right, and that's why the spirits go upward. So you can go receive your judgment. And then once you receive your judgment, you're going to come down on the earth and play out that judgment. Go on, bro.
For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Yahushua,
Yep.
that everyone may receive the things.
Yep.
See the things. It's like that people may receive the things done in this body.
Yep.
According to all that which has been done, whether it be good or bad.
Exactly. Because see, the animals, they don't need to receive judgment from the Most High. It's just that we need to receive the judgment from the Most High. Why? Because we've been given the ability to understand things. Okay, an animal just does exactly what it's capable of doing. Okay,
Yeah.
It doesn't have the mind capabilities that human has, or mankind has. Let me use that word. I don't really want to use the word.
Instinctive.
Right, an animal is just instinctive as well. Yeah. So it's man that has to be judged before the Most High. Why? Because man. I use the term man. I don't have to say man or woman. It's all, man comes first. Then the woman comes first. But we as man or mankind, we have discernment. We have the ability of understanding, to understand things. All right. So it's reasonable that we go before the Father's seat. Okay. Yeah. So that's just how that goes, man. There's no such thing as the hell. You burning in hell.
Just as what you're saying about the judgment, right? So that's the beauty of the scriptures, man. Because once you understand the reincarnation and the judgment you get, when you start seeing people in wheelchairs, children born with, limbs missing or blind and stuff, it takes away that feeling of like, sympathy, because you know that's just the judgment from the Most High.
Exactly.
So, just getting the spirit to understand the scriptures, man. It's beautiful.
That's why it tells you in the book of Job, whoso perish be innocent. So that's why, man, we have to look at it from this perspective and Because I mean, yeah, we get mad and all of that. How, you know, you see our people in the state that they're in right now because of Esau, but really, technically, we're in the state because we brought ourselves to that state, man. All right, and it was the will of the Father that let it be the case, and yet it's going to be the will of the Father that we be put in our position again. Okay, but you can't look at it everything on the surface level. You gotta look at it from a spiritual level. All right, yeah, Esau's the devil. That's understandable, but it's bigger than Esau. It's the Lord that's done it. You got a precept, right? Even when it comes to you receiving this truth, it's understanding. It's the Lord's will that you receive this truth and it's understanding. And it's the Lord's will that you don't receive this truth and understanding. So everything works and operates through the law. There's no free will. There's no, I want to just do me. I want to do what I want to do. And everything happens because it's the will of man. No. If you got that thing and if you got that kind of thought in your mind, then you don't understand what's going on. Verse 21, it says, there are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. Okay? And so, what we're reading, which is these scriptures, is within the counsel of the Lord. And all of that's going to stand. So whatever thoughts that man may have, if it ain't the will of the Father to invoke those thoughts, it's not gonna be invoked. Okay, like the so-called white man, the powers that be, they truly believe that they're gonna go for another 20 years or another millennium. That's why when you watch the BBC News, they'll talk about setting up businesses or enhancing their business or whatever they talk about. They make references to the future. 2030, we're gonna be able to do this. Okay, or Russia and China.
Exactly.
They're going to do this in 2055. So because they believe that they're going to go on for a bit of time. But that's what they believe. But if it ain't the will of the Lord, it's not going to go that far. Matter of fact, give me that in Job 14:4. Because this society's finished, man. It's done. Okay, this ancient Roman system is finished. You see what's going on all over around America with those so-called illegals in there. Okay? Which they're not even illegal, because that's their land anyway. When you deal with the Native American Indians and those so-called Mexicans, that was their land any dog land.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. You know, the so-called white man went in there illegally. So they're the real illegals. Go on, bro.
13
Yeah, what I take?
Job 13.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, Job, I know it's Job 14 and matter of fact, get Job 14 and where it says the days are determined. Give me that.
Right, Job 14 and 4.
Yeah.
Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean?
No, not that. It's start from verse 2.
Job 14 and 2.
I think so.
He cometh forth like a flower
Yeah, that's it right
and
there.
is cut down.
Yeah, keep going now.
He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not.
Yeah, keep going.
And verse 3, and dost thou open thine eyes upon such
Read verse 1.
and one?
Read verse 1.
One.
Yeah.
Job 14 and 1. A man that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble.
Yeah, keep going.
He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not.
Yeah, go on.
He dost thou open thine eyes and dost thou open thine eyes upon such an one and bringest me into judgment with thee? Who can bring an unclean thing out of an unclean? Not one.
Yeah, so Esau really is an unclean nation. But like I said before, Esau is doing exactly what he's doing. Yeah, because he was created to be unrighteous. Go on, bro.
Seeing
That's it right there. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah,
That's what you want there.
that's what I want to get.
Seeing his days are determined,
Yeah.
the number of his months are with thee.
Right, the number of his months are with thee. So in other words, there's a set time that the Lord has given Esau to rule like every other nation. Every other nation had a set time to rule. So once they reached to that end point, that was it. They couldn't go further. Okay, so it's the same thing with the powers that be of Edom. They're not going to go forward concerning concerning the time period that the Lord has set for them. All right, once they reach that that apex level, that's it. It's a wrap.
It says that right here.
Go on.
It says, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
All right, thou hast appointed the bounds that which he cannot pass. So let's just say we in the year 2020, Yahweh Shai comes. Once Yahweh Shai comes and crack them clouds, you think this society is going to continue after that? Hell no. There's going to be a new world coming in effect. And the new world is going to be when Jacob rules. That's what it's going to be, man. And the reason why this society is going down is because, again, the will of the Lord. Okay, and that's why, man, like I always say, that's why I don't really get mad anymore, man, because everyone's walking according to the rule of the Most High. And if you don't, you can choose to believe that, or you don't have to believe that. But regardless whether whatever you believe or don't believe, that's what's happening anyway. So this is why we can, without a shred of doubt, we can clearly say that the so-called white man, he's going down, and he is going down, as we say it. Because we see him going down, and we see the scriptures coming into fruition. So there's nothing that nobody else can say about it, or think differently about it. Okay, go on. What scripture you was gonna get prior before that? You was gonna get some in Job. Oh yeah, Job 13, where it speaks about where all the spirits go up to the Father and they are at peace, even the wicked. Come. That's what you was gonna get. So yeah, going back to the point of the matter about this reincarnation thing, that's what happens. Once you die, which the way you would die is that the spirit leaves the body. And the body doesn't move anymore. The body doesn't have no life force in it. So what happens is the body becomes dissolved into dust again.
No, that's not there. I've seen that.
Job 3. Okay? Like you got these devils, they believe that once you die, you ain't gonna come back to them. You're just gonna be dead. Okay? Again, that's a delusion. That's something that they think is gonna happen. Okay? The Muslims think that there's different levels of hell. The Christians believe that there's an hell. But there's no such thing as the ideal of hell as they think it is. Okay? Here it says even the wicked at rest. It's in Job 3. The book of Job 3. I think it's verse 8. Try verse 8.
Oh. Yeah. When it talks about the wicked cease from trouble. Yeah?
That's it right here.
Join it from 17.
Mm-hmm.
Job 3 and 17.
Oh, okay.
It says, there the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest.
And there the weary be at rest. The weary is what you would consider a slave, or somebody that has pretty much lived a difficult life. So even he's at rest when he goes before the Father in the spiritual realm. And the wicked, the so-called white man, even his spirit is at rest. But when he comes back down on earth to deal with his slavery, then he's going to be worried again. Matter of fact, read that. Goes into it, man.
There the prisoners rest together.
Right.
They hear not the voice of the oppressor.
Right, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. Right? So when when Jacob dies, they don't hear the voice of Esau no more. They're not worrying about, oh man,